Roger Stone, ladies and gentlemen, I had been thinking he was flying in from Dallas. No, he flew into Dallas and then did an event there and then drove here through I-35 that has famously bad traffic. So he wasn't going to do 2 hours with us. Now he's going to do an hour with us. But he's here in Austin for Donald Trump's visit tonight. This is a short segment, long segment coming up. First off, Roger, great to see you.
See you.
What's coming up in the next hour?
We're going to talk about Hillary's health and the way the mainstream media is trying to cover for her. We're going to talk about the potential theft of this election through voter machine manipulation, not voter fraud, very different issue. We're going to talk about the new Trump campaign team and how that's working out. We're going to talk about some recently uncovered lies by Hillary Clinton about Ukraine, pardon me. And, of course, we're going to promote our iconic rape T-shirt, which is really taken off.
That's really upset Media Matters. And I saw they got really upset, White House Run, that you would dare go to a big book signing in Dallas. I mean, and they've come out and said Breitbart, for me, this was huge a few days ago, Breitbart and other independent media does not have a right to exist.
Yeah, no, it's censorship is the, it worked for Hitler, worked for Stalin, and now they're trying to make sure that it works for Hillary. They can't refute what we have to say, so they have to try to discredit us, call us names, and block anybody from interviewing.
And they started with you, first time I ever saw this, announcing you were banned on CNN. The next day MSNBC said, and then you learned quietly that you haven't been back on Fox. I mean, I guess that might thaw someday, but we just have these bannings now. It's the new McCarthyism.
Yeah, fortunately, of course, we reach so many more people here at InfoWars and at other outlets. But, yeah, it's the only response that they have.
Let's talk about that first. Well, Roger Stone has worked inside, 4 different White Houses, been involved in 9 different campaigns. I met him years ago at a JFK conference and, shook his hand, talked to him, and then I said, I've seen that guy before, but didn't really click that he was like the second in command of the Bush recount in Florida, and, of course, was the main confidant of Richard Nixon after he got out of office, was the guy that actually got Nixon to go out and start talking to the press and going on TV again. I mean, Roger Stone, you can sit there and Google stuff about him. It's interesting and spend hours, reading New York Times articles about him from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But he's really an interesting guy now, of course, longtime confidant of Donald Trump, his first campaign manager, a guy that really helped push Trump, to make his own decision to run. And then we've seen several other campaign heads now, Lewandowski, your business partner, Manafort, and now we have Bannon, who I know you're a huge fan of.
Big fan.
And who I know is taking Breitbart in a really powerful direction. Basically, he's not copying InfoWars. He's got his own investigative journalist, more than I've got, out just reading the emails and discovering it's New World Order, it's world government. They plan to censor the press. So we're going to do an hour and a half, 30 minutes into Watson next hour. He'll ride shotgun with us. But I want to cover the waterfront here with Roger Stone of StoneZone.com. We carry 2 of his latest best-selling books, The Clintons' War on Women and The Bush Crime Family, that show how they really work together, how that whole power structure is out to basically take over the country. More important than ever, his crew designed the Bill Clinton rape shirt that looks like the Hope shirt, exclusively available at InfoWarsStore.com. The first thing I want to cover with Roger Stone today, I love showing the rape shirt because it caused Sinker Ugaric, or whatever his name is, the young turds, to totally flip out when he saw you 20 feet away walking by with it. I mean, he's just crazy. But before we get back into that, Drudge came here a year ago, and he said, listen, I talked to a Supreme Court justice. I talk about this every day because it's so pertinent now. It's happening. And he said next year they're going to start the process of handing the internet over to the UN. They're going to start censoring. They're going to turn loose the Federal Elections Commission, and they're going to start shutting down the independent patriot media. I talked to sources, and I can also hear the Democrats, the czars, the senators saying, shut down Drudge, Federal Elections Commission, shut down News Corp, Fox, shut down Limbaugh. And then they started saying, shut down InfoWars. I'm political. Well, yeah, I mean, if being pro-gun is political, damn right I am. So, but I'm a libertarian, cut my teeth going after Clinton and the Bushes, you name it, just like you've been critical of Bush after you learned what he was doing in Iraq. I'm just setting the table here that we're not just saying this. It's now in public Democratic Party fundraising emails, Daily Caller, InfoWars, and, of course, Breitbart reported on it last week to say, quote, mainline conservatives have a right to exist. Well, that means they want to get them, too. What a creepy term. It's like final solution. Jews have no rights to exist. Then they say, but Groups like Breitbart don't, and when we get Hillary in, we're shutting them down. Breitbart is way bigger than the New York Times. Drudge is the #1 news site in the world with more traffic than Facebook, Twitter, the New York Times combined. Now, down that list of the top 100 sites, if you combine how they said free speech systems and my other sites individually, it had us at like 80 and 90. We're like 50. And technically, I'm not bragging here, but we're bigger than Breitbart when it comes to overall, not just our site, but the whole aggregate. I don't want to be bigger than Breitbart. I want to defeat the New World Order. I'm glad Breitbart's big. I hope it gets 10 times bigger. The point is, when I say they're coming after the free press, they had a coup at Fox. They now admit they infiltrated. They admit the White House is involved. They admit Democrats are involved. Media Matters and memos said they were going to infiltrate. We're next. So that means you're next, folks. When they take away your voice, they take everything away. So we can put the Daily Caller headline up there where they said, no right to exist for Breitbart. When they say that, they now see Breitbart as the lead elephant because of Stephen Bannon. Now, you've got the floor to talk about free speech, the attacks, the demonization, the season we are in of disinformation. Roger Stone.
Yeah, Alex, you're absolutely right. Last week I spoke on C-SPAN about the easy ability to hack these election machines, these computerized voting machines, and citing a study at Stanford University that shows that the Clintons have already done it to Bernie Sanders in at least 12 states. Also citing the work of a Princeton professor, a professor at Columbus State Community College, Robert Fitrakis, who wrote a terrific book, Flip and Strip, about how these machines are manipulated. So there's no mechanical engineering or scientific evidence that the machines cannot be fixed easily. Therefore, their argument is, well, we have to rely on the integrity of the Clintons not to do this. Sorry, but this this election is easily rigged. Now, when I said that, Media Matters for America, the Hillary front group run by David Brock, immediately demanded that C-SPAN ban me. Whenever I published a long piece at The Hill, they immediately began to demand that The Hill ban Roger Stone, as if my views are not valid, only their views are valid. It's censorship. It worked for Hitler, it worked for Stalin, and now they're trying to make it work for Hillary Clinton.
I want you to continue, but just think about, I'm almost breathless here. This is so epic, so historic, where they actually call for you to be banned. When they ordered MSNBC and CNN to ban you, they did it. They are the talking points, and now they admit in the emails the White House is meeting with Google. It's meeting with Facebook, Twitter, weekly. It's meeting with CNN. It's telling them what to do, what questions to ask, everything to say, and now they're promising to actually shut us down, our own outlets, if they get in. This is now a referendum, this election, on the free press more than anything. And then that's A. And then B, they said Donald Trump was insane 3 weeks ago when he came out and said they tried to steal the nomination from me. They did from Bernie. We need to have election watchers. Now the UN, Reuters is reporting, for the Clintons and the Justice Department is asking for 10 times the monitors they had in 2012 to basically run the elections. And as you warned, last time you were on, before they did this, you said, I would watch the watchers. That's who will be stealing. Go ahead, Roger Stone.
That's exactly right, Alex. I mean, a couple things are going on here at once. First of all, anyone who raises questions about the Clintons, their record, their corruption, Bill's history as a sexual predator, you're immediately branded a conspiracy theorist. Now, you know the genesis of that phrase. It goes back to 1964, CIA memo that said, anytime anybody surfaces to question the results of the Warren Commission and President Kennedy's death, immediately brand them as a conspiracy theorist in order to undermine their credibility. Here we are again. They keep accusing us of being conspiracy theorists. No, we're conspiracy realists. Because we continue to point out the crimes of the Clintons, and we're not going to stop. We continue to point out the lies of the Clintons, and we're not going to stop. What I found, Alex, is really chilling. I've yet to be verified at Twitter. People keep setting up fake Roger Stone profiles, and they try to launch them. And I've asked several times to be verified. I've provided all their forms, all their information. The fact that I have this problem on Twitter, yet I cannot get verified. I was denied yet again today. More disturbing, though, is that I put up a provocative tweet about Hillary Clinton that's factual. People will retweet it. Then they contact me and they say, I retweeted what you put up, but it's disappeared.
Well, they now admit Google admits that they are delisting the Clinton death list. They are delisting Donald Trump. They are delisting basically her health problems. And the New York Times asked them a few days ago in an op-ed, said, please delist her health problems and her health videos. So they're now communicating the establishment from the New York Times to Google. Oh, by the way, we forgot to whack this mole, ban this.
Yeah, no, it's exactly true, which is, I think, a great segue into the question of Hillary's health. The spokesman for Hillary Clinton attacked me by name several days ago, saying that this was all a right-wing conspiracy and that I am promoting documents online that are forgery.
You never put those up.
I never put them up. I find them interesting. I have no idea whether they're real or not real, but my concerns about Hillary's health come from my own eyes. The photographs, the videos.
Her being in the hospital for a year in 2012-13, her stumbling around. Look, we have medical doctors on Fox News, the heads of major university divisions, coming out saying, quote, it's no conspiracy theory. We now have a wiki leak coming out with her wanting Parkinson's medication in her emails.
Yeah, it's extraordinary that they are running a cover-up on this when my view on her health is not based on some document online that may or may not have been real. I didn't even read it. Well,
the woman looks like she's already in a coffin.
Well, and she's got an ulcer on her tongue. She's got her head snapping around like she's on The Exorcist. What's that about?
So, yeah, where's the green pea soup?
Exactly. I mean, she's got no stamina. I think it's abundantly clear. She, as Donald Trump has correctly said, she does a campaign day where she does one stop. They limit access to the press, and then she takes 5 days off and does another stop. She doesn't have the stamina or the mental clarity or the balance to be president of the United States. That's not conjecture. You can see this with your own eyes.
I want to go to break and come back and get into the health stuff. But what about just the arrogance of Obama for 6 days? He finally went today, never going to worse flooding than Katrina. And then Hillary is flying planes 20 miles from Martha's Vineyard to Nantucket. And they just don't even care to go when this is what they destroyed the Republicans with in 2008 was Bush's response to Katrina. There's such a disconnect.
Yeah, no, they excoriated Bush for doing exactly what they are doing, not taking care of business. This is the job of
But to be fair, and I don't want to defend Bush, he went down there. I mean, they just didn't give a damn.
No, that's exactly right. But it was election time, and therefore they needed to undermine him. Now Obama doesn't do the job that he's elected to. And nobody says anything. It's the
does that just show arrogance, disconnect, that she's ill? I mean, why didn't she run down there?
Well, she's probably not well enough to move around, and they don't want to expose her.
I watched a video of her walking down the plane ramp the other day, and she looked like she was bracing each step like she was in hell.
Yeah, the woman's not well. It's visually obvious, and now we have the big lie. It's all our fault that her health is bad. We're making the whole thing up because we're conspiracy
All right, stay right there, because I have a concern. My gut tells me, Roger Stone, that she's obviously seriously ill, but she might coast in like a dead rat bouncing into the White House. What happens if that takes place? We'll be right back. Coming up at the end of the hour into the fourth hour, we're going to open the phones up. In fact, I'm going to give the number out right now. Your questions for Roger Stone about all things election 2016 and what's happening with Trump. But when this election's over, where I'm flying you back to Austin, I want to do 2-3 hours with you just about the whole history of the Republican Party in the modern age, Nixon, you know, all the books you've written on those subjects, and just all the interesting lore that Roger Stone has for us, and inside views and perspectives. But I was thinking during the break about censorship again before we get back into the medical issues and how they respond, because the two stories go together. Bezos of Amazon, who admits he's a Clinton worshiper, another multi-billionaire, socialist, owns the Washington Post and makes it even worse than it was before.
Which is hard to do.
Which is hard to do, with Graham running it before. Now,
the worst newspaper in America.
Now we've got Carlos Slim, who owned part of it. Now he's the majority owner of the New York Times.
And the largest single donor to the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. He's #1.
Engaged in incredible disinformation. But no wonder they want to censor us and now admit they want to shut us down with a 6% national trust rating in an AP study of tens of thousands of respondents. It's bigger than just wanting to shut us down. We have to understand. I mean, I'm not bragging. InfoWars reaches 28 million people a week. This radio show, just on terrestrial radio, 3 million people a day. Over 5 million YouTube views. Over 3 or 4 million Facebook views a day. You add it all together, it's much bigger than 28 million. That's conservative. These people are a joke, and they already know they've collapsed. Roger Stone, that only means it's that much worse. They are coming to shut us down, like Matt Drudge said.
Yeah, no, I think their plan is painfully obvious. Here's the difference between what we're seeing now and everything I've seen in 8 previous presidential campaigns. In the past, the media pretended to be objective. They still tried to screw the conservative candidate, but all the time pretending to be objective. Now, they've dropped all pretense of trying to be objective. It is hysterical in their efforts to get Donald Trump, to smear him, to distort what he says, to magnify minor mistakes that he's made. He's not a career politician, as he said the other day, which I think was actually very positive. He doesn't always get it exactly right, but when he makes a small mistake, they magnify it out of all proportion. When Hillary gets caught taking bribes or lying, they barely cover it. In fact, most cases, they don't cover it at all. They've dropped all pretense of being objective. Now, they just seek to stop the reform candidacy of Donald Trump because it scares the daylights out of them. He would bust up the K Street, Wall Street combine.
None of them are giving him any money. That is the total certification. He's the real deal.
Yeah, yesterday's finance report showed him at $38 million cash on hand. In retrospect, it may become clear if he raises the same amount in, say, the next 80 days, which is probable, that he would have been better off taking public finance and then running as much fundraising he could through affiliated super PACs, as Hillary has done with her super PACs. He would have gotten $100 million from public finance without raising a dime, and he would
That was your recommendation, wasn't
I
it?
did recommend that, yes, and I think it's going to be borne out as he would have had more net dollars for the fight had he done so. Well, no, the establishment has zipped their wallets.
This is so colossal. I overuse the word epic, but this is the epic of epic. This is the creme de la creme, where the evil, corrupt Pope, the evil, corrupt Chinese president, the evil, corrupt Mexican president, the Saudi corrupt filth, royal family, every festering nest of corruption and evil hates Donald Trump, every global combine, every stinking hedge fund. And then the moron fake liberals run around behind Hillary. But a lot of them I talk to actually aren't morons and are supporting Trump because they know Sanders was stolen. I think that's really the missing army that will put Trump over the top, and that's why I think there's election fraud if he doesn't win.
This is why the candidacy of both Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, and Gary Johnson, the Libertarian Party candidate, are so important. The criteria of the Presidential Commission on Debates, which is, by the way, not appointed by the president, not a commission, and not about debates. It's headed by a former Republican national chairman and Democratic national chairman. Their goal, keep everybody else out of the political discussion. Now, I think progressive voters would vote for Jill Stein, given the screwing of Bernie Sanders without Vaseline, according to the WikiLeaks documents, where Deborah Wasserman Schultz was a mole for the Clintons, if they knew that her candidacy existed. She has gotten on the ballot in 44 states.
All I see is leftist groups attacking her, but that's because they're not real leftist groups.
No, it's McCarthyism. That's McCarthyism. She's a legitimate candidate. Governor Gary Johnson's a legitimate candidate. They should be in these debates, first of all. It is outrageous to not include them.
Sure.
Using some phony polling number creates the chicken and egg situation where they can't get to 15% because they're not in the debate, and they can't get in the debate because they're not at 15%. The criteria should be, how many states are you on the ballot on?
Sure, but we can never break the two-headed monster duopoly, so Trump finally came in and has done that. He's taken over the Republican Party in a libertarian populist insurrection, and that's why everyone needs to support him, including Sanders people. We'll be back. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make. We fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.